Okay, so this is Aya, Awaken Your Awareness. And that's our logo, the blue butterfly. And the butterfly is a symbol of transformation. Of course, most of you know this, but it's a symbol of transformation. And the blue color, the electric blue color, is the frequency or the color or the frequency of unconditional love. And that's one of our highest values at Aya, of course. So let me jump straight to the list of lessons so that you guys can know where we are exactly, because we are currently on lesson 3. So this is another good thing that we're trying to build into the course, is that people can join at any time in the course and it will still make sense. So we're on lesson 3, the bioenergy layer at the moment. If you remember last month we did the material body layer. So we split the human system of health and well-being into 5 different layers, and we have a lesson on each basically. So we first start with the lesson 1 is the Aya Healing Pyramid, an overview. Then we go through each layer, lesson on each layer, the material body layer, the bioenergy layer, the emotional layer, the psychological layer, and the spiritual layer. And the last lesson is called the Silent Revolution, which is what happened on a global or collective level with self-healing. Now the exercises that are on the right hand side are not in, we're not using them yet, so don't worry too much about them. There will be some exercises and assignments to do for the course, and then we'll turn it into an actual qualification for people. But with that, we're still building that at the moment. Okay, so let's start with some breath work, as we normally do. First of all, can you guys hear me all right? It's all good, yeah? What we'll start with is golden energy yogic breathing. For you guys that have been here from the start, you'll know what golden energy yogic breathing. If there's anybody new here today, I'm just gonna back up a little bit and talk about basic yogic breathing. So anybody new here today, just do basic yogic breathing, but anybody who's done it before can just do the golden energy one. So let me start at the beginning. Basic yogic breathing is a pranayama yoga exercise, and it's one of the most basic deep breathing rhythms that you can do really in pranayama yoga. So basically there's a bit of technique to get right, and there's a bit of counting. So on the in-breath, it's a deep breathing rhythm. So on the in-breath, the belly comes out first, and then the chest comes out. And then you want to fill your lungs right up to the top, so your lungs are absolutely, completely full of air. And then you hold your breath for a little short period of time, and then you let all the air out in a long, slow, steady stream, all the way out to the bottom of the breath. And then you hold your breath again for another short while. So that's the technique. The counting, you want to, on the in-breath, count for the count of about 4 or 5 or so, and then hold for 2 or 3, and then back out for the count of 4 or 5 or so, and then hold for 2 or 3 again. So that's basic yogic breathing. Let me just demonstrate that. Okay, so that's basic yogic breathing. I think maybe all you guys have done that already, perhaps. So with the golden energy, we want to add a visualization to that breath work. Okay, so on the in-breath, you want to visualize golden energy pouring in from all directions and filling up the energy body on the in-breath with that golden energy. And then on the breath hold at the top of the breath, you want to visualize that energy expanding in all directions, as if you're an exploding sun or an exploding star. And then on the out breath, the air is coming out of your lungs, but make sure that golden energy stays in your energy body, nice and bright, okay? We don't want to let that golden energy out on the in-breath, okay? All right, any questions before we give that a go? Okay, I'll let you guys know when to stop. We'll just do 7 or 10 breaths or so, and yeah, I'll let you know when to stop. Okay, go for it. Keep a nice vertical spine for this one as well if you can. And use your nose if you can, rather than your mouth. Okay. Now, I just want to remind everybody about when you're doing breath work that you can quite often get emotional flushes. You can get a release of energy when you're doing breath work, and it can happen while you're doing breath work sometimes, or it can actually happen at other times of the day as well. So we should always remember that if that happens, that's actually a good thing. That's actually emotional energy releasing from somewhere in the energy body, whether it's a chakra becoming unblocked or something else, one of the meridians, or there's other blockages in some of the other systems in the energy body. All right then, so let's crack on with today's lesson. So just as a quick reminder, the Aya Healing Pyramid is a pyramid with information on three sides. And there's the blue side, which is the names of the layers. That's the material body layer. That's this material physical body that we all know so well, or think we know so well. That is what the current healthcare is mostly based on, isn't it? Most of our modern systems of healthcare and medicine are based on the material body. But that is changing. That is changing very slowly. Then we've got the bioenergy layer, which is the next layer up. That is the system of magnetic fields that flow around the body, that sustain the human body. And very important for self-healing, of course, as we'll find out in this lesson. And then you've got the emotional layer, which is our emotional cycle and everything that fuels our emotional cycle, like karma emotion, which we'll talk about in the next lesson. Then the psychological layer, that is everything in our personality. That is our subconscious memories. That's our personality characteristics. That's even our identity, our psychological identity. The little self that we think that we are, where actually that is a false self. That is the egoic identity or the mask identity. We call it a mask identity in this course. And then you've got the spiritual layer, which is at the top of the pyramid. And that is the silent inner peace of our own awareness. That is the idea that there is a silent inner peace inside everybody just waiting to be found. And you find it through certain meditation techniques. And when we find that awareness and we make it our true identity, we find that it is eternally peaceful. And there is a cascading effect down the pyramid. So each layer impacts the layer underneath it. So if you get the top right, everything tends to cascade into place. If you get the top wrong, of course, everything tends to cascade out of place. So a big part of this course is getting the spiritual layer right, along with the other layers, of course, because side 2 of the pyramid, the green side, is all the self-healing techniques that we use to apply to each layer. And these are the self-healing techniques that we are teaching every month. And then the yellow side is the results of self-healing, or you could say the goals of self-healing. What happens during a self-healing journey as we progress through the self-healing journey. Okay, I won't go through these in detail now. That's just a quick reminder. And for anybody who's new here today, that gives a quick summary of what this course is about, really. Separating the system of health and well-being into these 5 different layers. Okay, so today is the bioenergy layer. So using this word, energy, we have to explain exactly what we mean by energy, because the word is another loaded word that's used by many different people in many different systems or sectors. So what is energy? What do we mean by the term energy? Well, everything is energy. Everything in the universe is made of energy. Everything in the universe of form is made of different types of energy, vibrating at different frequencies, in different concentrations, arranged in different formats. But everything essentially is the same, made of the same stuff. Think about it in terms of bricks and buildings. Buildings can be have completely different purposes to them, can't they? You can have a church or you can have a hospital, but they can be made of exactly the same bricks. So the substance is the same, just lots of different formats. That is everything in the universe is made of this type of energy. But there are many different forms of energy, of course, and here are a few examples of different types of energy. Light has form to it, so it is a type of energy. It's electromagnetic radiation. Sound is a form of energy that moves in waves. Electricity is a form of energy. Now we think of electricity as coming out of the wall and powering our computers and phones and things like that. But actually there's bioelectricity running all the way through our nervous system. It's a different type of electricity, but it's still electricity. There's heat. Heat is a form of energy. Heat is a vibration of molecules, atoms and molecules. And then there is material energy. That is matter. That's atoms and molecules. This table is made of atoms and molecules. The body, the physical material body is made of atoms and molecules. If you look very, very closely at atoms and molecules, you'll find subatomic particles. You look even closer, you zoom all the way in, you'll find that they're made of a particular type of energy. So it's still just energy. And then there is magnetic energy. Magnetic energy is magnetic fields. Now, this is very important for this particular lesson, magnetic fields. So what is a magnetic field? Now, this is a magnet, the red and black little bar magnet with a north and south pole. Now, I'm sure everyone's seen this kind of diagram, of course, but I want to draw your attention to the magnetic field lines, which run from north to south poles around the magnet. That's a magnetic field. And this is another type of energy, these magnetic field lines, which are actually invisible, of course, but they are a type of energy and they are a vibration of energy, and they can vibrate at different frequencies. Same type of energy which is in the atoms of your body, but in a completely different format. The atoms of your body are separated energy, protons and neutrons, positive and negative energy, completely separated, whereas a magnetic field is a vibration of positive and negative energy. Now, this type of energy, magnetic fields, is very well known to science, of course. Science knows a lot about magnetic fields, doesn't know everything, mind you. But magnetic fields, or this type of energy, has been known about for a long time. This is my little animation of trying to make it vibrate. But it's been known about for a long time. And you will recognize some of these words, of course. Chi, prana, life force, subtle energy, traditional words for magnetic fields, or certainly the types of magnetic fields that are essential to life. And prana is the same word that is used in pranayama yoga, of course, the yogic science of breath, pranayama yoga. And that's because they knew that there was a type of energy that flows around the body that is very much linked to the breath, to the breathing cycle. And that's why breath work is so good, because it activates the energy systems of the body. So these different types of energy are all in the human body. Light reflects off our bodies. This is how we can see each other. The body can make sounds. You can hear my voice. There's electricity running through the nervous system of the human body. There's heat from the chemical reactions in our cells. And of course, it's made of material energy. The material body is. And magnetic energy, the magnetic fields that surround the human body and flow around the human body, which we call the bioenergy layer. And that's the purpose of this lesson, of course. So let's go through the bioenergy layer and go through some of the different aspects of magnetic fields that we have in our bodies. Let's start with this word, because this is a famous word, isn't it? The aura. Most people have heard of this word. So let's explain exactly what the aura is. Now, the aura consists of two parts. The first part is coming from the matter in our bodies. And the second part is coming from the bioelectricity in our bodies. Because matter gives off magnetic fields. I just showed you that magnet. Well, magnet is made of matter. In fact, all matter, it actually does give off a magnetic field. It's just they give off very weak magnetic fields compared to a magnet. So the table gives off a magnetic field. The house gives off a magnetic field. Your bodies give off a magnetic field from the matter. And that is what we often call the outer aura, and it extends very far outside the human body. Now, the bioelectricity also produces a magnetic field. And this is perfectly known. By the way, both of these are perfectly known to science, these two. Anything in the aura is perfectly known to science, or it's perfectly accepted mainstream science. Now, bioelectricity gives off a magnetic field. All electric currents give off a magnetic field, very strong magnetic fields. So the bioelectricity in our bodies give off a magnetic field, and it's what we call the inner aura. Now, this is very, very useful for certain things, certainly in healing, the inner aura. You can use it for diagnostic purposes quite often. You can feel your aura. You can feel the aura in other people. If you have somebody lying there in front of you, you can actually feel the aura if you're energy sensitive, or if you've trained yourself to be energy sensitive. And you can actually see the aura as well, of course, and many people see auras. Now, in this diagram, the white eggshell shape is the aura. Inside, you've got the energy body and chakras. We'll talk about that in a minute. But when you see it, you can actually see auras, see an aura around people. You can actually see auras around your fingertips if you train yourself to. If you look on a black background or on a white background, it's either light or dark background that works best. You can actually start to see the aura around your fingers. It's a whitish haze. And you can see it around people's heads sometimes. And you can train yourself to see it. And it's just a matter of training, basically. And feeling it is also just a matter of training as well. But, you know, we're talking about the aura here. And a lot of people lump a lot of things into that word, aura, and use the word aura just to describe the whole bioenergy layer. When actually, if you separate it down, if you nail down into it and separate it down, the aura is just the electromagnetic fields. And there's something much more interesting going on in the bioenergy layer. And that is what we call energy anatomy. Energy anatomy. And in this particular lesson, we're going to focus on the energy body. Now, this is completely different to the aura. The aura is an emanation of magnetic field. It's just like a radiation or an emanation in straight lines, if you like. There's no structure to it. It just beams out. The energy body or energy anatomy is completely different. Now, this is the concept which completely moves out of recognized mainstream science, because this hasn't been detected yet by science. So in this lesson, I want to try and remind everybody which bits are completely accepted mainstream science and which bits are outside of that, but have been part of many ancient systems of healing and medicine for thousands of years. So this is the idea that magnetic fields can hold structures, and that is not known to science. And we think that the reason is because the magnetic fields are so weak that they are as yet undetected. They're underneath the current detectable level of magnetic fields. But they can actually hold structures, and we know that. We've known that for thousands of years, intuitively. A chakra, for example, is an energy organ. It's a magnetic field, or a type of magnetic field, which is arranged in a particular structure. And just as how we have systems and organs in the material body, like a skeletal system, musculature system, a nervous system, etc., we also have organs and systems in the energy body as well. So when you look at the energy body and you train yourself to look at the energy body, it looks a little bit like this. Now you can see the aura outside as an eggshell shape there. But inside you've got the energy body, and it extends to about 10 centimeters around the material body. You can see the material body just inside there. And it's got lots of systems in it. You can see a meridian system there. You can see a chakra system. We're going to go through these in this lesson. The two main or most important systems in the energy body for self-healing is the chakra system and the meridian system. So the energy body is a framework, an energy framework which sits around 10 centimeters outside the material body. So let's start with chakras, because this is also a very famous word. Most people know or have heard of a chakra, even if they're not sure exactly what it is. But let's define what a chakra is. All chakras are energy pumps. That's what they all do. But they all have lots of different specific roles to them. So every single chakra in the body is an energy pump. And there are hundreds of chakras around the body. Chakras are very small, by the way, very tiny. When we get this classic image of the chakras that you can see on the right there, when you Google chakras, you'll see this kind of image from the front. What you're seeing there is the chakra opening. But the chakra is very small and inside the body, usually. Now, there are a set of chakras that are really, really important for self-healing, and those are the emotion regulating chakras. They regulate our emotions. So this is why we teach the 5 chakra system in this course, because they regulate the emotions. The root chakra at the base of the spine. So these particular chakras sit on the spinal column. They're part of what we call the major chakras. There's certain major chakras that sit along the spinal column. There's other chakras in other places of the body, but these ones, the emotion chakras, sit on the spinal column. You've got the root chakra at the base of the spine. You've got the sacral chakra in the navel area. You've got the solar plexus chakra. You've got the heart chakra and the throat chakra. These are the emotion regulating chakras. Now, if we look a bit closer, what you'll see is this arrangement. So the chakra is actually on the spine, on the spinal column, in the energy body, of course. And then there is an opening on each side. So there's a front opening and then there's a back opening. Now, not all chakras have this. For example, the root chakra faces downwards. The crown chakra faces upwards, although we're not talking about the crown chakra and the brow chakra in this lesson. We're talking about the emotion chakras. But the throat chakra has forward and back. So does the heart and the sacral. And the solar plexus and the sacral, but the root chakra only has one opening facing downwards. Now, this matters because of when we start doing chakra breathing, which is one of the exercises that we're going to teach you. So in the chakra, you've got an inlet and an outlet. Now, this is the heart chakra, so this is an easy one to use as an example. In the middle of the heart chakra opening, there is a jet which comes out in the center. And there's also energy being sucked in around the edges of that heart chakra. You can feel this yourself sometimes. If you train yourself to, or if you're just a little bit energy sensitive, what you could do is feel it in your fingertips. So if you actually move your hand across your heart chakra like this, what you'll find is that just at the edges of the opening, it will get sucked in a little bit. You'll feel it getting sucked in a little bit. And if you carry on, you'll actually feel a little bit of a fizzing on your fingertips past that jet that's coming out. The jet that's coming out is the strongest bit, and you can actually feel that. So the chakras are constantly sucking in golden energy from the outside. And then they fire it back out again. It's a constant circulation system, basically. So golden energy comes in. As you can see on this diagram, green energy is actually coming out there. And that's because each chakra processes a different frequency of energy. So golden energy is all of the frequencies together. And then each chakra filters out a particular color or frequency of energy. That's why the heart chakra is green. So this golden energy and this energy separated out into different colors is essential for life. And the emotion chakras are emotion regulators. Now, the chakra system is a system in the energy body, but it can go wrong. Because the material body can go wrong, we know that, don't we? Well, it's just the same for the energy body. It's part of our anatomy. Of course it can go wrong sometimes. And this is what happens. This is what can happen most often in the chakra system. Blockages. So let's talk about how it can go. How do chakras get blocked? This is when we start talking about energy psychology. Energy psychology is a very popular and growing field of study in healing and spiritual circles. But really, it should be part of psychology, should be part of psychotherapy, it should be part of mainstream healthcare. And that's part of what our mission is as well, is to bring these things into the mainstream through research projects. So energy psychology is the link between the energy body and the personality in the mind, the personality in the psychology. Because each one of these emotion chakras regulates a different set of characteristics in the personality. And I've listed them here. The throat chakra regulates characteristics to do with communication of self-expression. The heart chakra is all about attachment to loving relationships. The solar plexus is all about our identification with beliefs. Very important that. The solar plexus is a very important one because identification, that's identity. That holds the personal identity. That's the little self that we keep talking about. The psychological self, the egoic identity, the ego, the mask identity. That's held in the solar plexus chakra, or it's regulated by the solar plexus chakra. And the sacral is all about reproduction and parental care. And the root chakra is all about safety, security, and survival. So any characteristics in our personality are regulated by these chakras as part of our emotional cycle, as part of our psychological makeup. Now, when we have a characteristic in the personality, it can sometimes cause us negative thoughts. When we have negative thoughts, that kicks off negative emotions. When we have negative emotions, that kicks off emotional energy. This is part of our emotional cycle. I'm going to talk about that more in the next lesson, the emotional layer. But this is just a quick taste of it. I'll just repeat that. When we have a characteristic in the personality, it can sometimes kick off negative thought patterns. Those negative thought patterns kick off emotions. And part of that emotional cycle is emotional energy. Now, when it's a negative emotion, it's negative emotional energy. It has a very low frequency. It's very thick and viscous. It gets stuck in the energy body. This is what causes blockages. This is what causes blockages in the chakras. And then that also overflows to the rest of the energy body as well. So this is a chakra mechanism. This is what is actually on the spine, the little chakra mechanism. And this is what the energy looks like when it sticks to the chakra and causes a blockage. Now, when it first blocks up, it will just get a little bit sticky. These are spinning mechanisms in the chakra, these little donut shapes. Now, first of all, it just gets a bit sticky. But if we keep feeling that negative emotion over a long period of time, then that starts to actually seize up. And this here, as an example, is fear. Fear for a loved one, for example. The heart chakra is all about attachment to loving relationships. So fear for a loved one is a heart chakra fear. So every time we have feelings of fear for someone we love, it's going to cause a negative emotional energy, and eventually it can block up the heart chakra. And eventually it will seize up completely. When a blockage becomes so solid, that heart chakra or that particular chakra will actually stop spinning completely. And then it all starts to back up. The emotional energy all starts to back up and go into some of the other systems of the energy body. Now, a blocked chakra can do various things. It can inflate emotional reactions. So it can make emotional reactions 2 or 3 times worse. It can also act like a grenade, and we talk about this in the next lesson, but it can also act like a grenade and explode uncontrollably sometimes. So it can make people's emotional reactions completely unreasonable and explode. It can also cause ill health in the material body because of that cascading effect of the pyramid. So the bioenergy layer can actually impact the material body layer. It can actually cause disease and illness in the material body. A very common example is a throat chakra blockage over a long period of time. You'll generally start to see problems in the thyroid gland, just as an example. Okay, any questions so far? Okay, let's do a little bit of practical now. So now we're going to learn chakra breathing, because in the first lesson of this course we learnt basic yogic breathing. In the second lesson we did golden energy yogic breathing, and in this lesson we're going to do chakra breathing. And there's 3 breathing exercises as part of this course, and so this is the most complex. And basically what we've done is, with these breathing exercises, is that we've chosen 3 of the most, first of all, easy and simple to do, and secondly, the most powerful for their simplicity. So they're nice and easy, but actually they're very efficient and very powerful. So chakra breathing, it helps clear blockages because it targets each chakra individually. Now, basic yogic breathing and golden energy yogic breathing, they target the whole of the energy body. You know, they're very good for removing blockages everywhere in the energy body, but they don't target anything specifically. Chakra blockages are chakra breathing is specifically for chakra blockages. And it's very good because you can start to diagnose your emotion chakras, and it gives you emotional stability because these are emotion regulating chakras. So if we can remove the blockage in these chakras, then we find emotional stability. Now, you may have heard the term balancing chakras. That's a very well-known term, balancing chakras. Well, actually, you're not actually balancing the chakra when you're doing this, or whenever you're doing chakra work, you're not actually balancing the chakra, you're balancing the emotions to do with that chakra, because a blockage will cause instability in those emotions, that grenade effect, that explosion effect in the emotions. It causes instability in the personality, and if you can remove those blockages and keep those blockages clear, then you'll find emotional stability. It also increases circulation in the energy body as well, because those chakras are energy pumps. They're pumping energy around the energy body. So if you have a blockage, then you have low flow in the energy body. And this energy is actually essential. This energy circulation is essential for making energy in the material body, because there is a chemical reaction in every cell of the material body called the Krebs cycle. And this is how we make energy in the material body, ATP energy. You might have heard of that. Now, that's very well known to science. However, what is not known to science is that particular reaction in every cell of the body needs a constant supply of subtle energy as well. This is going to be part of one of our research projects. So that's our theory of why the body needs this subtle energy, which has been known about for thousands of years. You know, we eat food as fuel, we breathe oxygen in through our lungs, that gets circulated around the body and goes into every cell of the human body, and it gets burnt in the Krebs cycle, and that produces ATP energy. And that's what powers our material body. That's what science knows currently. What we think will emerge soon in the scientific world is that there's another part of that reaction that's not yet known, and it's subtle energy, it's magnetic fields. It's this type of energy that is needed as part of that reaction. So that's why we breathe it in through our chakras. That's why it needs to be circulated around the body. And that's why things start going wrong when our chakras get blocked. So chakra breathing. What we're going to do is we're going to use the same breathing rhythm as the basic yogic breathing. Nice vertical spine, same breathing rhythm. But we're going to change the visualization. So we want to visualize the colored energy coming in through the chakra opening. So in this case, we've got the throat chakra. So we want to visualize that colored energy coming in to the throat chakra, and then on the in-breath, it fills up the whole of the energy body with blue, that light blue energy. And then on the out-breath, this is very different to the last one. On the out-breath, that blue energy comes back out of the throat chakra. So it's like breathing in and out through that chakra opening. And then we're going to do it on the back as well, because there are two separate mechanisms for each chakra. So as you breathe in and then back out of the front, you're going to do that for a few breaths, and then you move to the back and go in and out again, same thing, a few breaths on the back aspect as well. Now we're going to try this in just a sec. So you go to the back aspect and do the same thing there, and then you move to another chakra. And you do the same thing with the heart chakra and the other chakras, of course. So let's give that a go now, shall we? Now we'll try it on the throat chakra first. Now, many of you are very well practiced with chakra breathing already, and you may have your routine sorted already. But anybody who's trying this for the first time, just try it on the throat chakra first, and then we'll have a bit of a chat about it, and then we'll expand on the exercise, okay? So first of all, on the throat chakra. Any questions before you give that a go? Or are you all right? Okay. Move to the back of the neck now, straight away to the back. Okay, let's just stop there for a moment. So what you want to do with chakra breathing is just do 3 to 5 breaths on the front, then maybe 3 to 5 breaths on the back, and then you move on to another chakra. And then you can start comparing your chakras, basically. So has anyone got any comments about that particular try? Yeah, absolutely. On the throat chakra, that is. Yeah, on the throat chakra, absolutely. Until you move to the green, to the heart chakra, and then you do it with green energy. Yeah. Anyone else got any questions about that? Okay, let's move to the heart chakra now. So we'll do exactly the same on the heart chakra. And sometimes if you have trouble trying to locate it in your mind, then you can actually touch the skin of the opening, because it's good to visualize it. Yes, that's one sense, but not everybody is great at visualizing, or not everyone responds to that particular type of sense. You can also do it with your kinesthetic sense as well, your feeling. So it's good to do it with both if you can. So you need to get your mind into that area and feel that energy flowing through that chakra opening. So you're visualizing, so for the heart chakra, you're visualizing that green energy coming in, and hopefully your mind is focused on that area there, so you can actually start feeling the energy sensations as well as it's coming in. So that's why tapping it sometimes actually activates, gives your mind an anchor place to go through the breathing exercise. Okay, so we'll do exactly the same. Green energy coming into the heart area and then back out of the heart area. And then you go to the back and try and do the same on the back as well. Now, a word of warning, if you haven't done this before on the back, that's quite difficult sometimes. It's quite difficult to find anything, any sensation there. It depends. And usually people have a bit more blockages around the back aspects to the front for some reason. So if you what you need to start doing now is to start noticing the difference between the chakras and the different front and backs, and you can start self-diagnosing your own blockages. Okay, give that a go then on the heart chakra. When you're ready, let's try and move to the back. Okay, that'll do. Okay, how was that? Did you guys feel any different between the throat and the heart? Everyone managing to visualize that okay? Yeah? Okay, well, what you want to do is carry on and in your own time, carry on and go through all the chakras and see if there's any difference between the chakras. This is when you start to notice where your blockages are. And with the energy psychology as well, and we're going to go through that in later lessons, don't worry, but with the energy psychology, you start to know where your blockages appear and you start to feel them. And, one blockage might feel one chakra might feel a little bit sticky, and there's a blockage there and you need to work a little bit more on that particular chakra. Or you might see the throat chakra, for example, as very clear and very easy to visualize that light blue energy, but then you move to the heart chakra and it's very difficult to visualize. There's a clear difference between the two chakras. This is when you know that you've got a blockage somewhere. Yep, okay, let's stop, quick break. And see you in a couple of minutes then. Nice one, thank you, Veronica. About what you're going through, and I think you're referring to the Kundalini system there, aren't you? And the Kundalini system is actually a system in the energy body. And we don't. It's not actually part of this course, but it's very relevant because you have to learn about all the stuff around it to actually understand really what the Kundalini system is all about itself. Because all of the self-healing techniques that we teach as part of this course is really another way of describing spiritual practice that we have to do over many incarnations to get to the point of Kundalini awakening and self-realization, which many people here are going through, I think. All right, how are we getting on? We should probably carry on. Okay, so we've talked about the chakra system. The chakra system is super important for self-healing because of the emotional regulation part, but also it's an energy pump system, so it creates flow around the energy body. Now, what happens to this energy once it goes past the chakras? That's the next part. As we breathe in, part of our breathing cycle is that the chakras spin really quickly and pump this energy into our energy body. But then where does it go? Well, it goes in various places, but one particular system it goes into is the meridian system. Now, the meridian system has also been known about for thousands of years and forms part of many ancient systems of healing and medicine. Chinese medicine, for example, acupuncture and acupressure is always a very good example here. They work on a map of the meridian system and other energy vessels in the body. But really, that is what the meridian system is all about. They are energy vessels. They carry energy around our energy body and deliver it to every cell of the material body. Now, when this does become part of mainstream science, and we are absolutely sure it will do at some point, it's just a matter of research, this may be called magnetic flux, because the movement of a magnetic field is called magnetic flux. So the movement of these types of magnetic fields around the energy body could be called the movement of magnetic flux around energy vessel. So it first comes in through our chakras. And that's this, again, here is the heart chakra as an example there. It first comes in through our chakras, and then it goes into the central meridian, which is a meridian which just goes around the center of our body. Now, the meridians are one-way vessels. They deliver this subtle energy to every cell of the material body. And it's not important for you to know all the meridians at all. It's just getting the general picture. That's what I'm trying to do here. So this is the central meridian, and then it goes to other meridians. So you've got a meridian on the side there. You've got one going down the arm and up past the face and head. You've got the same thing on the other side. And of course, you've got them around the legs as well. So this is roughly what you see when you can see meridians. And, if you Google this stuff, it's all over the internet now. There's maps. There's, acupuncture has been using maps of meridians for thousands of years. That's been developed through intuition and practice and experience over hundreds and even thousands of years. So, you can even get an app with this now. I've seen that there is also, someone's put the maps of meridians into an app, a 3D modeling app that you can actually download. So it's very well known in sort of alternative medicine cycles, let's say. So that's what they look like when you put them inside the energy body. Now, the thing is, with these meridians, why are we including them in this lesson? Because this is about self-healing, yeah? Well, the chakra system and the meridian system are two of the most important systems when it comes to self-healing. And we've talked about the chakra system, why? But why the meridian system? Well, first of all, let me get back to this idea that I mentioned earlier about the Krebs cycle. So this is cellular respiration. This is very well known to science. This is the reaction in every cell of the material body, and it gives us energy. It gives us ATP energy in the material body, which helps us muscles contract. It powers every chemical reaction in the whole body. It allows our material body to function. Now, it's a very complex chemical reaction, but you can distill it down to a very simple formula, and it's this. Food plus oxygen equals carbon dioxide plus ATP energy. So we eat food, we breathe oxygen, we use that in the Krebs cycle. A waste product is carbon dioxide, we breathe that back out again. And it gives us ATP energy. ATP, by the way, is just a molecule. That's just a molecule which carries energy, a form of energy around the body, and powers the body. Now, this is very well known to science. This is perfectly accepted mainstream science. What is not is this bit here, that we are saying here, that the meridian system is needed because it delivers magnetic flux to this reaction. That's the whole reason why we need to ingest this type of energy through our chakras and into the meridian system and deliver it around the body. And what happens when there is a reduction in flow? And sorry, I should have said there, this is part of our research projects because this needs to be brought into mainstream science, of course. There's no point in us shouting about it. And without having actual evidence to back it up. And, you know, it's been kind of intuitively known that this energy is needed for life. That's why sometimes it's called life force. That's one of the traditional words for it. It's very well known that the human body needs this chi or this prana to survive. But it needs to be known scientifically. The world now works on an evidence-based system, and so it should. So we need to find evidence for it, and it is part of our anatomy and biology. So this will eventually happen. Now back to self-healing. What happens when something goes wrong with the material, with the meridian system? Well, blockages can also occur in the meridian system, and it overflows from the chakras. So emotional energy starts in the chakras, gets blocked, and then overflows into the meridian system. And then you get blockages in the meridian system, in the individual vessels, and sometimes it even backs up. And this is this causes what we call fibromyalgia. Now, many of you, I'm sure, are aware of that term and may have even suffered from it in the past. Fibromyalgia is a type of pain which actually has an emotional root to it, but they're not really sure how it works currently, what the cause is of fibromyalgia. But they do realize there's an emotional root to it. It often starts after a traumatic experience or an emotional event of some kind. And it actually moves around the body, this pain. Sometimes it can be in your shoulder, sometimes it can move down your leg. And it's very debilitating for some people. Now, we think that we've had many cases of this going through our healing department, and we're pretty sure that this is caused by blockages in the meridian system. And it gets backed up to such a degree, and it can also seize up completely, and it irritates the nervous system in the material body and causes inflammation as well. And this is what causes the pain. Now, eventually, when this gets seized up to a certain point, it's going to completely reduce the flow to the cells of the material body. Now, what happens when that happens? Well, those cells need this energy to live, so cells start dying. That's what happens. So it causes ill health and disease in the material body as well as the chakras. It also causes or can cause chronic fatigue as well, because chronic fatigue is a symptom which is part of many different conditions. But if you think about it in terms of the meridian system is delivering subtle energy to every cell of the material body to produce ATP energy, which powers the material body. If there is a reduce in flow of that, then there's going to be a lack of energy as well. So getting rid of the blockages in the chakras and the meridian system is one of the most important things we can do in self-healing. And that is why breathwork is the self-healing technique which we apply to the bioenergy layer. So there we are. That's the bioenergy layer. Any questions before I move on? And there are lots of other systems in the bioenergy layer, of course, but we focus on those two as part of this lesson. Any questions so far? So let's move on then to the second part where we talk about side 2. Because we've talked about side 1, the name of the layer, the bioenergy layer, we talked about what that is. Now let's talk about side 2, the self-healing techniques that we use as part of this layer. And of course, it's energy breath work. And as I mentioned before, there are 3 breathing techniques that we use as part of this layer. Basic yogic breathing, golden energy yogic breathing, and chakra breathing. So let's talk quickly about why it works. Why does breathing exercises work on the bioenergy layer? Well, this is just to remind you about the chakra mechanism and the in and the out mechanism. But it's the chakra mechanism, the little green thing in the center, which is actually what gets blocked up, not the big funnel shaped things. It's this thing here. This is what gets blocked up with emotional energy. So when we breathe, we are actually exercising those chakras. When we're breathing deeply, those chakras are actually spinning like mad. And so those blockages, the more, if you think about it in terms of the mechanical impact, the more you use those chakras, the more the blockages are going to be broken free. It's just like working the chakra until those blockages remove. And that's why breath work actually works, because the breathing cycle is linked to the chakras. So every time we breathe in, like that, of course, air is coming into our lungs, but our chakras are spinning faster when we breathe deeper. It's all part of the same system. If you can think about it in terms of a biological system, it's just that we don't know much about the bioenergy layer, but it's all part of the same system. It's part of our circulatory system. So the lungs and the respiratory system is part of the chakra system and the meridian system. So when we breathe deeply, it starts to break up those blockages and it cleans up the chakra. So that's a mechanical effect of breath work on the chakra mechanism. That's why just doing the breathing rhythm itself actually has a massive impact on the emotional cycle. But there is another impact as well that we can have, and that is through visualizations. Because when we do golden energy yogic breathing, we're visualizing, aren't we? We're visualizing that golden energy coming in and out of the energy body. When we're doing chakra breathing, we're visualizing that energy coming in and out of the chakras. And that is adding a whole level of efficiency or power onto that exercise. And the reason is because of the mind, or more specifically, the powerful impact that the mind can have on the body. Let's call it the mind-body effect. That's quite a popular word, isn't it? The mind-body effect. And really, this is actually a type of energy healing. Now, we don't talk about energy healing much in this course, but doing a visualization in a breathwork is actually a type of energy healing, because you are programming energy with the mind. This is how the mind-body effect actually works. You are programming energy with your mind and sending it to do a job in the body. So when you're doing breath work and you add a visualization, your mind is making that visualization happen. It's making it real. So if you're forming the intention to unblock a blockage in the heart chakra through chakra breathing, your mind is actually sending energy to unblock that blockage. So you've got that effect, plus the mechanical effect of spinning that chakra hard with the breath work. So that's why breath work is so good for the energy body. And so just running through quickly, you guys have all, we've talked about all of these exercises, but just as a reminder, this is basic yogic breathing, the simplest breathing rhythm. And by the way, the PowerPoints to this lesson all get uploaded to Google Classroom, and the video as well, so you can look over this again, of course. And there are course notes as well to this, which has got all of this in it as well. So you've got basic yogic breathing, you've got golden energy yogic breathing, which is just adding a visualization to that basic yogic breathing rhythm, and you've got chakra breathing, which we've just done a little bit of in this lesson. So those are the 3 breathing exercises that we recommend for the bioenergy layer. If you don't want to go into the whole massive subject of pranayama yoga, which could take you a whole lifetime to learn about, if your time is short, then these 3 exercises are pretty much what you need for the bioenergy layer. Okay, so we've done side 1, we've done side 1 is the names of the layers. We've done side 2, which is the self-healing techniques that we use to keep that layer healthy. And then side 3 is the results of self-healing. And of course, in this layer, we are looking at balanced emotion chakras. That is the results of keeping the bioenergy layer healthy. And that impacts the whole rest of the bioenergy layer, the meridian system, all of the other systems, because it starts with the chakras. And here you can also see the cascading effect of health and well-being down the pyramid as well. And the effect of having balanced emotion chakras is that, first of all, you find emotional stability, because the emotion chakras are regulating the emotions. And it also impacts the material body, because blockages in the bioenergy layer will cause ill health and disease in the material body over the long term. Okay, there we go. That's it for the theory. Any questions or any discussion points before we do a meditation? No, they're not. They're all chakras that have an opening to the outside will be bringing energy into the body. But those 5 emotion chakras, we talk about them in this lesson because they're the emotion regulators. But the brow chakra and the crown chakra also bring in subtle energy to the energy body. And there's other chakras around the body as well. You know, the chakras up and down your arms and legs. There's chakras. There's one by the spleen. There's lots of other different chakras. And if they have an opening to the outside, they're all bringing in energy in one way, because they're all energy pumps. Can you clarify that meridians are inside and outside the body? Yes, so meridians are in the energy body. The energy body itself extends through the material body, but also outside the material body. So think about the energy body as just a big cushion of energy which extends further out than the material body. But it also goes through the material body as well. So it's not just a layer. It's not just like a layer outside. It goes through everything. And the meridian system, the meridians are vessels which actually go throughout the energy body. So basically, they can start from a chakra, close to a chakra, or the central meridian. They can start there and pick up their energy. And then they can you can trace them somewhere into the material body. So they get circulated around, but then they go into the material body, and then they go into another circulation system, which I haven't talked about in this lesson, into smaller vessels. So the meridians are just the bigger vessels. It's a bit like veins and arteries. When we say an artery carries blood around the material body. Well, the artery doesn't go to every cell of the body. It goes into smaller capillaries, which are very, very, very tiny vessels, which deliver blood to each cell. Now, it's a similar thing with the meridian system. Big vessels are the meridians, and then it goes into smaller vessels, and then it actually goes through another thing called the lower mind circulation system, which gets even smaller and smaller and smaller, basically. So that permeates throughout the material body. So yeah, the meridians are both outside the material body and inside the material. Yeah, okay, well, there's 2 parts to that answer. The first part is what happens to the ego, to the identity, and the second part is comfortableness, basically. Because let me just start with the identity. First of all, the identity dissolves. The false identity dissolves, and you start losing your way, and you start questioning, well, who am I? I don't know who I am. I don't know where I'm going anymore. That's the identity that's falling apart. But very gradually, underneath that, a stronger, deeper, true identity is starting to grow. But it's beyond mind. It's not based in thought at all. It's not based in the lower mind. It's not based in any mind. It's consciousness itself. It's awareness itself. That starts to grow in you, and you don't even notice it because it grows so slowly. It takes years and years, but eventually that starts to dominate your experience, and that starts to become your true identity. And by that time, the false identity is in pieces. It's completely disappeared. There's no more identity. And so basically, there's been a migration of identity from the false self to the true self. That's the first part of your question. The second part is comfortableness. Now, as part of that process, you have to surrender all things like wanting to be comfortable, because that's a desire, and desire is attachment to things. So as you go from the false identity to the true identity, the false identity is constantly trying to grab onto things, and desire, wanting, that's part of the psychology, isn't it? That's part of the human psychology. And so as you go through the process from one identity to the other, you have to let go of all of those things, wanting any outcome for any situation. And it's a very difficult thing to wrap your head around, because the mind, whenever you start thinking about things like that, you can't sort of rationalize it, can you? But you do have to let go of it. So and it's not something that you do, it's something that happens to you as you're going through the process. So all your only job is to notice it happening and be aware that it's happening. And every time that you have those wanting thoughts, oh, I wish my pain would go away, I wish I was comfortable, I wish I was this. This is suffering, of course, isn't it? It's the mind which is suffering, the mind which wants things to go away or desires something else, desires an outcome that it's not currently having. Every time that happens, what you've got to do is just accept that it's there and try and accept whatever pain you are given, but also trust in the end game. Know that the process is happening from the false self to the true self. And once you've got rid of all those wantings and all the conditioning patterns in the lower mind, once you've got rid of them, everything that you wanted actually happens. But you don't get what you want until you've stopped wanting it. That's the irony. You'll never get what you want while you are still wanting it. But that is your answer. That is your answer. So that when you go and look for it, this is what the exercises are that teach you to go and look for the true self. It's the process of looking for the true self where you actually realize your true self, because you can't find it. That's the whole point, because it's not there. It has no physical existence. It doesn't have any form. It's non-physical. So when you go and look for it, it's exactly what you find: a space of nothing. Yeah. So I mean, people describe it in different ways because it is indescribable. So whatever word you want to use to describe it, it doesn't matter. Some people call it a space of nothing. Some people call it awareness. Some people call it a conscious presence. Some people call it being. Some people call it the observer, the witness. If you want to call it a ghost or a dream just because it's like not really there, then that's fine as well. Yeah. Well, once you know that is you, once you've realized that you are a conscious space of nothing inside, once you realize that, then you can go back to it every time, and then you can just watch things happening or watch things unfold around you or even inside you without any attachment to them, because you know that they are not truly who you are. Like thoughts, emotions, triggers in your life, all this stuff, you can watch them happen, like you said earlier, like watching a movie, because you know that your true self is that space of awareness which you suddenly realize can't be harmed. It's always there and it can't be harmed. Yes, and when you realize, when you sit in your own awareness, self-inquiry disappears. There is no more self-inquiry, because self-inquiry is a thought process. to get you to there. Self-inquiry is looking inside and looking, is that me? Is that me? Is that me? And then when you realize and you suddenly, everything falls away and you're like, you just are that conscious awareness. There is no more looking, is there? It's just you, and there's nothing else. Yeah. It depends on the situation. It depends on different people. So it might be part of your process to focus on that as part of your triggering, as part of your process. And also you go in phases as well. Throughout the phases of Kundalini and self-realization, you go in these ups and down phases, and sometimes you might go through a phase of completely disconnecting from everything around you, and that happens quite often. But it is usually a phase. You will reconnect afterwards. So it is different for everybody. It sounds like for you that it's part of your process to be triggered by that. So I guess what you need to do is, it's not necessarily a case of withdrawing, it's a case of surrendering in here. So surrender is not about withdrawing from the world, and it's also not about just letting the world happen. It's not about it's not about not getting involved. It's not about being a doormat to everything that's happening around you. Surrender happens in here. So you can still get involved with stuff. It's what's going on in here that matters. There's got to be no resistance inside here. And the resistance I'm talking about is negative thoughts. The emotions follow from the thoughts, but it's the thoughts that kick them off. And it's the thoughts that are going, that shouldn't happen. Why is that happening? When is that going to stop? So it's the same as your inner pain, it's just outer pain. And the resistance is the same. Your mind is resisting it. What you need to do is work on being in a state of complete inner non-resistance to anything inner or outer. So what happens is that, first of all, the thoughts that you're thinking, oh, that's wrong, that's just a resistance thought. And so that's just causing you pain. We are all we are all connected to each other, and the reality out there does exist, but it is also true to say that it's part of your personal journey to let go of it, and to let go of the concept of right and wrong, because ultimately in the universe, right and wrong is an illusion. This is part of a duality of how the universe is created in the first place. The universe is created with a duality to it, positive and negative. And then throughout the whole of the structure of the physical universe, there is duality everywhere. That's what the physical universal form is made of. But ultimately, it is an illusion. And that's what creates the concept of positive and negative emotions, for example, that we feel, or the concept of right and wrong and morality, which has evolved through the karma emotion system. But ultimately, all of this is a type of illusion, because the only permanent reality is awareness itself. The illusion, which is sometimes called Maya, is the veil of illusion of the physical universe. It's the veil of illusion that the source of the universe pulls over its own eyes, and it goes through a journey of life and a journey of evolution until it reaches self-realization. And that self-realization is the universe itself becoming aware of itself, of its own permanent reality, which is pure and eternal awareness. And that's what self-realization is. It's the universe becoming aware of that. And then the illusion falls away. And that's what self-realization is. So the process that you're going through is actually the universe which is going through that process through you. And that's part of self-realization, that your identity, the false identity, crumbles. That little sense of self that you think that you're running around in a massive universe all separate from everything else. Well, actually, that's the illusion, and that identity crumbles. And to go through that journey to the true self, which is unity, complete unity, you have to let go of all these concepts, like right and wrong is a duality. It's an illusion. There is no ultimate right and wrong in the universe. Now, having said that, that's the philosophical and spiritual viewpoint, and that's what you have to come to terms with. However, in practice, it doesn't stop you from going to change the world, but you have to do it from a position of complete neutrality in here. So this is what this process is. It's flattening out all of that conditioning so that you don't have those thoughts anymore. So eventually you will be able to go out in the world with your new higher purpose that comes through from the source, from the ninth chakra. You will be directed to go and change things and go and help people and do good things in the world and change what's happening in the world. But you won't have any resistance in here. There will be no thoughts in here going, that is wrong, I need to stop that. You will just go and do your actions and you will change the world through your actions. But there'll be no pain in here. There'll be no negative thoughts in here. There'll be no thoughts going, this is so wrong, this has to stop, when's it going to stop, you know? But it's a journey, don't worry. And what you're experiencing is perfectly normal, and it will just reduce slowly over time. And it takes years. And the negative cycle of self-realization is 7 years long. That's how long it takes from the end of the Kundalini phase. That's how long it takes for the sense of individuality to completely disappear. So through the Kundalini phase of self-realization, that's when the egoic identity structure dissolves. Then there's no more mechanism which is fueling itself, that ego, because it's a mechanism in the brain and lower mind which actually fuels itself, and that's how the identity gets bigger and bigger. Now, after you go past the Kundalini phase, you go into the phases of self-realization, but there's still a sense of individuality there of the lower mind. That is what all the surrendering is all about, constantly getting battered. And then the identity just slowly disappears over about 7 years or so. So it does take a long time. Right, how are we getting on? Shall we are a bit late, obviously, so some people may have to go, I don't know, but we can do a meditation if you like. I'm here to do a meditation if you guys want to stay on, and if you can't, then no problem at all. But I'll just crack on and we'll do a meditation for those of you who want to stay.